So thanks to COVID, there was no Washington State Summercon last year. And to keep the guests distance from one another, they divided it into 3 cons this year. I found out about this just after the second one, so we'll be focusing on lessons I learned during the third one. To start with, Instagramming. Just taking a picture on my phone and immediately uploading it while tagging people is a much more efficient way to get pictures of cosplayers to them than snapping it on my phone, or more conventional camera and emailing it to them. Businesses surrounding an event are likely to still be open on a Saturday, but always check in advance to see if they're open on a Sunday. There might be 2 bus lines across from the Washington State Fairgrounds, but if you're heading north, odds are you're going to want to walk all the way to the station before waiting to catch a ride. It'll just be faster that way. Prices are an experience. Pizza by the slice was the only option for buying a lunch. And the Arnold Palmers there were more expensive than single slices. I came in expecting to walk out with back issues of a certain age, but vendors only took cash, and I realized I left my bag of coins at home twice, which freed up my budget to get eaten up by 2 slices and 1 can of soda. Which leads us into our next 3 lessons. Lesson 1, hearty breakfast. I packed myself full of smoothie that morning, which explains why no matter how much apples and celery I consumed later, I was hungry all day. And my 2 sandwiches weren't cutting it either. I made the drink smartly, but it didn't leave me wanting for food, it left me wanting for fiber. Also, I tend to burn up 4,000 calories a day, so lesson 2. Always check in advance about what surrounding businesses are open at what times. I've been wanting to try Don's Drive-In for years, but I'm typically only out here for State Fair or Summercon. So it has never been a good time. When I realized my fiber-heavy snacks weren't going to sate, I crossed the street to check them out, but found out they'd been closed all of Sunday. The day I needed them most. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but there's a reason for that. Check in advance. I was rusty that week, but by the time you see us act on it, hopefully things will be back in swing. Speaking of that, I recall from 2019 that all the standing food structures were still open. Although, a couple years back, maybe not all of them were, but it's still better not to presume. Outside of the grossly overpriced pizza, the only standing food shack on site was the most distant Fisher's Fair Scone shack. So many questions. Next, always have a packed bag a week in advance. This way, if you're surprised by anything, you can just make adjustments as you go, and that way, when it's crunch time, there are no surprises. And pack a cash bag. If you're buying comics, bring your own bags and boards. I saw a really beat up Ghost Rider Volume 1, Issue 6 from the 70s. There's no way that thing was surviving coming home in my bag without that. So many other back issues for a treasure, and so many treasures for a quarter. And if they realized they had a treasure, well, it would cost another treasure to bring it home, wouldn't it? But, I say again, they took only cash. Whoops! As for cosplayers, the old rules still apply. They will set the boundaries that they're comfortable with. And the photographer just asks what they might like to do with their surroundings, unless the subject has their own requests for a quick shoot. And lastly, the panels. Even when they have to be limited to one stage, spread between 3 weekends across as many months. There's so much to learn from so many personal anecdotes, like how even though I had to discard my closet cosplay assembled with COVID in mind, my sunblock shirt got a speaker's attention. Or those personal stories of Hollywood that showed me so many early Ron Perlman works I need to look into later. Speaking of later, see you at Grit City Comic Con 2021.